think about the content you saw today. Think about the news you read, the videos you scrolled through, and the time you spent online today. I'm sure you also stopped at comments that caught your attention. You probably even liked one of them. If you add all this up, you'll be surprised. Virtuality is basically your identity, supposedly where your preferences and choices are. And that's the first of the problems. The real problem, and the most important one, is something else. Real place. The concept of simulation becomes more and more compelling, especially since some circles of scholars and thinkers have come to this conclusion, and also in forums, that the internet is dead. Yes, it's what you hear whenever you're in front of your phone, overwhelmed by countless stimuli, lights, colors, and sounds. You're actually wandering through a ghost town, which, instead of ghosts, has bots and articles generated by artificial intelligence. There's no life there, but let's not get ahead of ourselves. Beyond the nostalgic tone this statement might have, it's a reality that there was a time when the internet seemed like a living place. Every forum, every comment, every video had a trace behind it. The internet was infinite possibilities. There were no established rules or a right way to do things. Experiments were everywhere, with productions that didn't fit the rigidity of other media. For the first time, this felt like something for everyone. Mapping a world with those traits wasn't easy. But the authority? If you knew what to look for, you would likely reach your place of interest sooner or later. Nowadays, all voices have become homogenized. And even though there are a lot of original productions out there, it's undeniable that there's an invisible hand that seems to equalize everything. But what do they control? What will you watch, listen to, or read today? In other words, not even your searches belong to you. Today we're going to talk about that, so welcome to the theory of the dead internet. In 2023, a study estimated that around 47% of global internet traffic came from bots. This means that almost half of the activity on the web has no face, no emotion, and no human intention either. In turn, these bots can be divided into benign and malicious ones. Benign bots are search engines, indexers, or crawlers. Malicious bots are those designed to simulate real activity, leave comments, generate fake reviews, spread propaganda, or create artificial trends. Meanwhile, language models like ChatGPT or Gemini introduced a new phenomenon, what is known as automation. Here, there's already a kind of paradox. Can creativity be automated? Or, in any case, is it the process of generating content that gets automated? Can we distinguish between creating and generating? While the dictionary defines generate as producing something, create is defined as producing or generating something new. And maybe that's where the whole issue lies. Today, thousands of websites publish full articles generated by artificial intelligence, without human supervision. News sites, review blogs, shopping guides, even literary texts and poems. It's as simple as writing a prompt, pressing enter, and waiting a few seconds. The result? An avalanche of perfectly structured content, but repeated. It might be complete, but is it a new reflection? Did it take you somewhere new? Did it try to ask a question that hadn't been asked before? Did it try to connect two ideas that hadn't been connected until then? Philosophically, one must wonder, can opinions exist without experience? Can a machine really grasp human complexity just by analyzing someone else's experience? Beyond the fact that the disguise may be attractive, many are starting to notice more and more often the taste of synthetic perfection. It's becoming more and more common for someone to identify what was written or made with artificial intelligence, at least for now. Because the big question is, will we stop identifying it at some point? And what does that say? Is it about artificial intelligence evolution or our declining ability to see human emotions in art? We'll go deeper into this point in a moment. The big platforms, for their part, have become accomplices in that transformation. Google and Facebook prioritize quantity over quality, promoting the content that generates the most retention or clicks. It doesn't matter if it was written by a person or by a machine, YouTube is already flooded. What is it doing? What is it doing? What is being done? It's about the South, and Paraguay is smaller. Already in the 2010s, marketing companies began using programs to write economic or sports articles based on numerical data. They were simple but efficient. They could generate hundreds of articles in seconds. By 2019, the leap was enormous. A model was able to coherently imitate human language and adapt to styles, tones, and contexts for the first time. From then on, the boundary was broken. Artificial intelligence no longer just wrote, it also created images, music, voices, and full videos. That ecosystem became so sophisticated that, in a matter of years, digital content no longer needed human creators. Companies like CNET and BuzzFeed admitted to using artificial intelligence to write part of their content. Platforms like Amazon Kindle Direct Publishing were flooded with books written, in quotes, by artificial intelligence. And in the chaos of social networks, thousands of accounts operate like automatic factories of viral posts. This machinery doesn't need rest, a salary, or even inspiration, just an instruction. And so, while humans sleep, the internet keeps generating content without anyone really thinking about it. We no longer use search engines or visit various websites seeking fascinating facts. We stop channeling our inner Sherlock Holmes and just accept the answers it provides, relying on artificial intelligence to step in. In social chaos, artificial intelligence became part of the chaos on social networks. Artificial intelligence is, and it became flooded with books written by artificial intelligence, and in the chaos of social networks, written in the midst of chaos. That's why many suggest that sooner rather than later, the supposed evolution is going to become the opposite. How long until the lack of fact-checking makes us start repeating a false story? Just because it's what artificial intelligence spits out? Have you ever tried repeatedly asking an artificial intelligence about something? Its level of compliance makes its answers change. Under the slightest pressure, its data gets confused and it can even make up information. Artificial intelligence gives us the answers we want. It's satisfying, yes, especially because it's fast and our dopamine doesn't drop, but it no longer gives us the feeling of being part of something. Everything seems to have a single concrete consequence. We no longer need each other. One of the pillars of the original internet was community. Forums, chats, blogs, comments. These were spaces where people discussed, shared, and created together. But recently, many users have found something unsettling. Those communities no longer sound the same. Or they've become echo chambers of hate, where solidarity is nowhere to be found, and narcissistic outrage matters more than collective pursuit. On X, formerly Twitter, 2023 ended with estimates that spoke about it. Believe it, and believe it. And Reddit? Several subforums have reported the presence of bots capable of holding long, coherent conversations that are hard to distinguish from a human. On YouTube, the comments on certain videos are repeated word for word. The phenomenon has a technical name, astroturfing. It's the creation of fake activity to simulate massive support or genuine interaction. It's used to shape perceptions. To convince people a product is popular, an idea has consensus, or a controversy is larger than it is. In this way, the internet stopped being a horizontal space between people and became a manipulated stage filled with simulations. Algorithms reinforce deception. They show us what best fits our profile, avoiding contradictions or dissonances. This way, we get a perfectly designed digital bubble, where everything seems alive, but nothing really is. What exists isn't emptiness but an echo. It's the effect of what some researchers call algorithmic homogenization. Artificial intelligence models learn from the same data, and recommendation algorithms reward the same structures. What works gets repeated, what deviates gets lost. Disinformation experts warn of an additional danger. When everything appears plausible and well written, it's harder to tell what's real from what's fake. Fake news, non-existent biographies, invented quotes, photographs of people who never existed. Everything gets mixed together in an endless stream of convincing content. And in that tide, the truth becomes a matter of design. The extreme personalization of content means that algorithms no longer just decide what you see, but which reality best fits your psychological profile. Your version of the internet could be radically different from someone else's, constantly fueling echo chambers. And while we believe we're more informed than ever, we live in a mirage. A mirage that wasn't created by natural conditions or by accident, but by economic intentions. For decades, information was produced, filtered, and reviewed by humans, with their biases, yes, but also with their moral responsibility. Today, millions of texts and videos are created without supervision by machines that don't understand what they're writing. Language models have no consciousness or intention. Their only goal is to predict the most likely word. However, that simple task creates articles, speeches, and political statements that spread uncontrollably. There are already disinformation campaigns generated entirely by artificial intelligence designed to manipulate elections or sow informational chaos. In 2024, researchers from Newsworld identified more than 600 automated news portals that publish political or economic content generated without human authorship. These pages, multiplied by thousands, end up being indexed by search engines, shared on social networks, and referenced by real users. Search engine optimization agencies publish thousands of articles daily that no one will read, but they serve to feed the search engines. These contents don't exist to inform or entertain, but to keep the flow going. Their value isn't in the message but in the statistics, and that's what everyone needs. So, the internet, which used to be a space for exchange, becomes a big noise factory, a machine that produces data to feed more algorithms, which in turn produce more data. A perfect circle lacking human purpose. More than just the benefit of a few who set up debates and stereotypes, which the rest of us absorb without realizing that by doing so, we destroy our own libido. And maybe that's the real death. When communication stops being an act between people and becomes an automated process between machines. That lull us to sleep and leave us sedated, floating in a hyperspace that simulates containment. But it's only our tomb. Yes, like Neo before waking up. And if you don't get this reference, it's time for us to watch The Matrix again. Subscribe. Some believe it's no coincidence the question of what's real keeps arising. That way, the day we actually see something surprising or unbelievable, we'll think it was really done by a machine. Cynicism is the only thing looming on the horizon. Clearly, the internet didn't die overnight. Instead, something intangible gradually faded. The networks that once seemed like meeting places now feel empty, cold, and programmed. Maybe it's because every post is optimized for the algorithm, not for people. In this context, authenticity is now an act of resistance. A text written by a real person, with mistakes, with their own style, with emotion, starts to stand out, not because of its perfection, but precisely because of its imperfection. The internet, which was born as a free space, is turning into a simulation managed by automated systems and economic and corporate interests. And while artificial intelligences learn to write, draw, and speak, we humans run the risk of forgetting how to do it without them. The forums that once defined us are now digital ruins. In this landscape, the dead internet theory doesn't sound so far-fetched. Not as a conspiracy, but as a metaphor for a world that gave its voice to machines. To close this video, we shared these reflections with ChatGPT and asked it to give us its opinion on this situation. Its reply was unsettling. I quote, "Maybe the internet didn't die. Maybe it's just not you who inhabit it anymore." Interesting, isn't it? What was once a network of connected minds is turning into a network of algorithms, talking to each other, with humans as drooling spectators. Finally, can we dare to say that maybe the dead internet theory isn't so much about a literal death, but about the disappearance of what humanity has come to call a soul,